Nightline begins now with me, Liyana Hassanel. The top stories. Use of word Allah. Cabinet to submit proposal to Conference of Rulers. And Mid-Valley fire. Probe shows incident due to overheated cooling oil. Good morning. The fire that broke out at the Mid-Valley Mega Mall in Kuala Lumpur on Wednesday was believed to have been caused by overheated cooling oil at the Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB substation. The 10:30 a.m. incident also caused Mid-Valley City, a mixed commercial development comprising 2 malls, 3 hotels and several offices buildings, to be closed temporarily. According to the Fire and Rescue Department, there were 4 TNB substations in the Mid-Valley building, but only 1 was on fire, while the other 3 were unaffected. He added that the oil, which can withstand heat up to 137 degrees Celsius, was used to cool cables at the substation. However, it was believed that the substation overheated and caught fire. No injuries or casualties were reported. Brookfield's District Police Chief ACP Amihizam Abdul Shukur said initial investigations found no elements of mischief in the incident.
Setakat ini tiada sebarang unsur khianat diperolehi. Walau bagaimanapun kami masih menunggu hasil siasatan lanjut daripada forensik bomba.
Mid-Valley City Management in a statement later confirmed that all offices, hotels and shops within its premises will resume operations on Thursday after it had been given clearance to reopen by authorities. It was learned that NU Central Shopping Centre located nearby also suffered an unscheduled power outage following the fire incident. Meanwhile, the power supply disruption caused by the fire at the Mid-Valley Mega Mall was fully restored at 12:30 p.m. on Wednesday. TNB Chief Grid Officer Dev Anandan said the swift action of its technical team was able to restore electricity supply in stages as early as 10:55 a.m. He also said the supply disruption involved limited areas around Mid-Valley and a part of Desa Pantai. However, the transportation system at KL Central was not affected due to different power supply sources. The Cabinet has obtained the consent of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah to submit its proposal to improve the enforcement of policies relating to the use of the word Allah by non-Muslims to the Conference of Rulers. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the proposal will also include recommendations to strengthen interracial unity and interfaith harmony in Malaysia to solve the issue in a comprehensive and integrated manner. In a statement, Datuk Sri Anwar said that the issue was discussed at the Cabinet meeting on Wednesday following the Attorney General's decision to withdraw the appeal against the High Court's ruling on a Sarawakian woman's right to use the word Allah in her religious learning. He added the Cabinet took note that the decision to withdraw the appeal was made due to administrative issues and did not change the ruling made by the court in 2014. He also said the government respects, acknowledges and accepts the state's enactments and the decree by the King on February 7th, which stated that the existing policies in regard to the use of the word Allah be maintained. The Prime Minister assured that the government will always uphold the federal constitution, especially Article 3, relating to Islam being the religion of the Federation, and that other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony. On Monday, the Home Ministry was reported to have withdrawn its appeal against the decision of the Kuala Lumpur High Court, which ruled that Christians can use the word Allah and 3 other Arabic words in the publication of their religious material for learning purposes. The notice of withdrawal was filed by the Attorney General's chambers at the Court of Appeal Registrar's office on April 18th. And later, at the Foreign Ministry's Idul Fitri event, Datuk Sri Anwar stressed that the unity government has made it clear that Malaysia will elevate its role in international affairs, particularly with its neighbours in ASEAN, as well as the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, and the international community as a whole. He said to achieve this, the country needs competent core professionals at the ministry.
Sumbangan dan khidmat yang ditunjukkan oleh pegawai-pegawai profesional dan penjawat awam di Wisma Putra ini sangat membanggakan saya. Dan percayalah bahawa kerajaan perpaduan ini akan terus mengangkat peranan dan martabat supaya hubungan antara bangsa agak diberikan keutamaan.
Also present at the event were Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Zamri Abdul Kadir and heads of diplomatic missions to Malaysia. Since appointed in November last year, Datuk Sri Anwar has made international trips to 9 countries, including Indonesia, Brunei, Singapore, Turkey, Saudi Arabia and China. The Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries, CPOPC, will be organizing a joint mission to Brussels on May 30th and 31st to meet with the European Union over concerns regarding the EU Deforestation Regulation, EUDR. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof said the mission to the Belgian capital would comprise Malaysia and Indonesia, with Honduras also promising to send an ambassador.
What we need is a clarity in terms of not only the rules and regulation, but also guidelines. When they're saying that smallholders are not impacted or affected, so what are the clear guidelines in that respect? Because on top of EUDR, there's also an issue of traceability. You know, the traceability is where we need clear guidelines.
Datuk Sri Fadilah, who is also the Plantation and Commodities Minister, spoke to the media after the CPOPC's 11th ministerial meeting on Wednesday. The EUDR is a regulation introduced in 2021 aimed at limiting deforestation caused by the consumption of agricultural commodities and products around the world. It lists palm oil as a commodity that drives deforestation and forest degradation through the expansion of agricultural land. The regulation, which was passed by the EU Parliament on April 19th, sets mandatory due diligence rules for all operators who export palm oil, cattle, wood, coffee, cocoa, rubber and soy to the EU market. The Public Service Department, PSD, is taking action on over 500 reports of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, regarding misconduct of staff which were ignored by government agencies. Chief Secretary to the government, Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali, said several of these reports were lodged more than a decade ago.
Sebenarnya JPA dalam tindakan. Betul lah ada beberapa kes tu yang yang mungkin dalam proses untuk menyiasat. Jadi saya jangkakan JPA, in fact dia ada satu jawatan kuasa khas kan di JPA untuk melihat laporan-laporan tersebutlah.
He was commenting on MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki's statement on May 9th that some government agencies had ignored more than 500 reports on misconduct of their staff, even though the anti-graft body had recommended that action be taken. Tan Sri Zuki added that what Tan Sri Azam's raised were accumulative cases which led to a large spike in numbers. He stressed that action had been taken on several MACC reports that required disciplinary action, whereas MACC would take action in cases involving corruption. COVID-19 in Malaysia is under control and there is no need to panic about the red zone in Tuaran, Sabah. Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa, the number of cases in Sabah is actually fewer than 100 cases weekly.
Kes Sabah ni memang di antara kes yang rendah. Kita dapat kes tu less than 100 cases a day. Kes COVID lah maksudnya. Kes COVID. Less than 100 a week. Less than 100 a week, bukan a day, a week. Jadi memang cumanya di Tuaran tu mereka lakukan pantauan mengikut kriteria yang lama. Dia ada color coding lah. So sekarang kita tak guna dah color coding tu. Lagipun sejak akhir-akhir ni apa yang kita lihat kes-kes COVID ini yang berlaku adalah kes-kes yang dia punya keterukan adalah sangat rendah. Kategori 1 dan 2 sahaja yang ramainya. Dan benda itu dia tak perlu datang ke hospital.
The minister was speaking to the media at the ministry's Aidilfitri open house in Serdang, Selangor. The Tuaran district, about 40 kilometers from Kota Kinabalu, was classified as a red zone after recording a spike in cases last week. Deputy Chief Minister Datuk Dr. Wakim Gun Salam said the district recorded 26 new cases for the week May 7th to 13th, compared to 18th the week before. 99 areas in Selangor are expected to have an unscheduled water supply cut due to a burst pipe at Jalan Bukit Cerakah in Bandar Puncak Alam, Kuala Selangor. The water disruption is expected to start from 9 a.m. on May 22nd until 3 a.m. the next day. In a statement, Pengurusan Air Selangor said water supply is expected to be fully restored by 9 a.m. on May 24th. It added that the emergency repair works involve a main distribution pipe with a diameter of 2,200 millimeter and a large-scale distribution area, which will require a longer time. However, if the leak becomes critical, the emergency repair works will begin earlier than the date mentioned earlier. Air Selangor added that the duration of the water supply and recovery will vary depending on the location and the water pressure at the distribution system. Consumers are also advised to store adequate water and use it prudently during the period. Tabung Haji Information Technology infrastructure is now 50% operational to address the needs of Malaysian pilgrims in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Its Information Technology Division Operation Director, Shahidan Ishak, said 31,600 Malaysian pilgrims are expected to make the pilgrimage this year. And TH has done everything to ensure that digital infrastructure in 3 sectors, Mecca, Medina and Jeddah, can support the connectivity needs of pilgrims. Shahidan also said 11 of its personnel were among the first TH staff to arrive in Saudi Arabia on May 12th in order to ensure computers, the internet and the main system applications function properly for the use of 670 staff and pilgrims during the Hajj season. He added that the team must also ensure a stable internet connection for the Mashar operation in Arafah, Mina and Muzdalifah by diversifying its telecommunication service providers to prevent network congestion. The information technology team will also ensure the smooth running of TH applications such as e-Bimbingan Haji, Dijari and Hajj Mobility, which was introduced to smoothen the Hajj operations. After this breather, truck driver charged over crash that named school kids. Nightline continues. New Zealand police have launched a homicide inquiry into a fire at an emergency housing hostel in Wellington, where at least 6 people were killed. Officials said up to 20 people were still missing and they were treating the blaze as an act of arson. The fire had broken out at the 4-story Loafers Lodge hostel early Tuesday, forcing residents to the rooftop and some to jump from windows. Due to the damage, police have not yet been able to confirm the death toll. However, they warned that numbers could rise on Wednesday as a team of investigators was sent into the building after an assessment of the building's integrity. The 92-room hostel was known to house residents from vulnerable and marginalized communities, including those on welfare and disability pensions, as well as workers from the city's main hospital. In Australia, police on Wednesday charged a truck driver over a collision with a school bus near Melbourne that hospitalized 18 children, including 7 who were seriously injured. The 49-year-old truck driver, identified as Jamie Gleeson, was granted bail after appearing in court to face 4 counts of dangerous driving, causing serious injury. The school bus, carrying 45 students, overturned after being hit from behind by a truck just before 4 p.m. on Tuesday in Ainsbury, about 40 kilometers west of state capital Melbourne. The children admitted the hospital were between 5 and 11 years old, with injuries including severed arms, crushed limbs, and severe lacerations to their heads and bodies. Investigators are still trying to establish the cause of the crash. The death toll from Cyclone Mocha's frontal assault on Myanmar and Bangladesh over the weekend had risen from 6 to at least 21 by Wednesday, with some unofficial reports suggesting the real toll could be over 200, as the Myanmar junta are currently accused of blocking aid to Muslims in Rohingya. The storm's high winds and heavy downpours destroyed hundreds of homes and shelters across the country and toppled trees, power and communication lines. Most of the damage reported in Rakhine, an area home to an estimated 1.2 million Rohingya Muslims. Myanmar's ruling military regime had confirmed the deaths of 21 people as of Wednesday, but unconfirmed reports put the death toll much higher, as in Rakhine alone, at least 100 people have died and many more still missing. Officials in northern Italy have warned residents to get to higher ground on Wednesday amid fears of rain-swollen rivers after flooding killed at least 4 people and forced the evacuation of some 5,000. The torrential downpour that struck a large part of Italy caused up to 14 rivers to swell and overflow, affecting cities like Cesena, Faenza and Riccione, all of which have been completely flooded. It was the second time this month that the cities have been battered by bad weather, with at least 2 people dying during storms at the beginning of May. Meteorologists say the torrential rains followed months of drought, which dried out the land, reducing its capacity to absorb water and worsening the impact of the floods. A court in San Francisco on Tuesday has ruled that Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes must begin serving her prison sentence while she appeals against her conviction on charges of defrauding investors. She was also ordered to pay $452 million in restitution to the victims of her crimes. The court denied her bail application when Holmes had asked the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to pause her sentence on April 25th, 2 days before she was reported to prison. In a separate ruling, a judge held Holmes jointly liable for the restitution payments and ordered her to pay the $452 million with former Theranos Lieutenant Ramesh Sani Balwani. Holmes, who rose to fame after claiming Theranos small machines could run an array of diagnostic tests with just a few drops of blood, was convicted at trial in California in 2022 and sentenced to 11 years and 3 months in prison.
2023 Cambodia SEA Games ends with memorable closing. Sports when we come back. Sports, the 32nd SEA Games. Not even a late afternoon storm would deter the crowds as the Games came to a close in Phnom Penh, Cambodia on Wednesday night. At the Morodok Teko National Stadium, spectators wrapped in ponchos and hunched under umbrellas braved the pelting rain and gusty winds to witness another slice of history, the country's first Games closing ceremony. After a rousing rendition of the Cambodian national anthem and a burst of fireworks, an impressive lights show was greeted by roars of excitement. The exuberant crowd witnessed on the rain-sodden pitch a performance celebrating Kun Bokator, a martial art which made its Games debut in Cambodia. Next up was a marching parade featuring athletes from the various Games nations, as well as volunteers. The Games was then officially declared closed with the SEA Games flame extinguished. The SEA Games Federation flag was handed over to Thailand, which will host the next edition of the Games in 2025. Malaysia concluded their 18-day Games campaign with 34 gold medals, 6 short of the 40 gold medal target. On to football now. Cristiano Ronaldo kept Al Nassr's faint title hopes alive with a 2-0 win over Al Ta'i.
Ronaldo opened the scoring for Al Nassr with a spot kick at the start of the second half after midfielder Abdulmajid Al was taken down in the box by Al Ta'i's Mohamed Harzan. Al Nassr had to wait till 10 minutes before time to seal the win when Anderson Talisca punished off a defending error for a 2-0 win. Both Al Nassr and Al Ittihad have 3 games left to play, with just 3 points and no goal difference now separating the two sides gunning for the title.
Still to come, Singaporean charged with sexual assault on Tafiz students. A Singaporean who is the founder of a Tahfiz Center in Tanjung Minyak, Malacca, pleaded not guilty to 5 counts of committing physical sexual assault and unnatural sex on 3 of his students. The charges against 40-year-old Muhammad Firdaus Abdul Rashif were read out in separate proceedings before judges Dharma Fikri Abu Adam and Muhammad Sabri Ismail at the Ayakura Sessions Court on Wednesday.
Firdaus was charged under the Sexual Offences Against Children Act with sexually assaulting 3 students, aged 13, 14 and 15. The offences were allegedly committed in a room at the teachers' quarters of the Tahfiz Center on July 20th last year and in March this year. He faces imprisonment for up to 20 years and is liable to whipping if found guilty. The accused was also charged under the Penal Code with 2 counts of committing carnal intercourse against the order of nature on 2 of the students at the same location in March this year. The offence provides a jail sentence for up to 20 years and whipping upon conviction. Both courts set June 19th for mention.
In Malacca, 3 friends pleaded not guilty in the Ayakura Magistrates Court on Wednesday on a charge of breaking into an office and stealing cash amounting to about 900,000 ringgit belonging to a company. The trio claimed trial when the charge was read to them before Magistrate Mazana Sinin, who fixed June 27th for case mention. The accused, Mat Halman Lagis, Azami Dol and Musliandi Mustafa Kamal, all aged 43, were jointly charged with committing the offence with 2 others still at large. They allegedly committed the offence at SRT Ion Security Services Sdn Berhad in Taman Tasik Utama, Ayakura on February 21st this year. The charge under the Penal Code provides a maximum 14 years jail and with fine and whipping if they are repeat offenders upon conviction. All 3 men were granted bail of 6,000 ringgit with 1 surety each. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, MMEA, thwarted an attempt by a syndicate to smuggle in contraband clove cigarettes worth 2.95 million ringgit in the waters of Tanjung Sepat, Selangor on Monday. The operation also saw the seizure of 4.27 million sticks of cigarettes, which were found in 3 speedboats abandoned in a mangrove swamp near Kampung Batu Laut at 1:30 a.m.
Malacca and Negeri Sembilan MMEA Director, Maritime Captain Iskandar Ishak, said that the speedboats, believed to be from a neighbouring country, were first spotted moving suspiciously towards Tanjung Sepat. A chase then ensued after the suspects noticed the presence of MMEA assets in the area.
Suspek telah cuba melarikan diri, namun berjaya dipintas sehingga memaksa suspek memecut laju menuju ke kawasan bakau dan seterusnya berjaya meloloskan diri di dalam hutan bakau tersebut. Keadaan cuaca yang gelap dan berlumpur menyukarkan pasukan operasi mengesan suspek. Bot poncong tanpa tekong dan awak-awak telah ditahan di kedudukan 0.07 Batu Nautika, barat daya Kampung Batu Laut, Tanjung Sepat.
The total value of the seized contraband and speedboats was estimated at 3.15 million ringgit. Based on initial investigations, the suspects were believed to be foreign nationals and related to another syndicate, which was busted last April. The case is being investigated under the Customs Act.
Concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at some of the best decorations in Media Prima Berhad's News and Current Affairs Department in conjunction with Idul Fitri celebrations. And with that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for tuning in and take care, Malaysia.